Water wells.
Home, the house, the
House the
homeless, home the houseless, all of that. I don't know. Buy a few prosthetic limbs. There is a lot that $20 million can buy. Welcome back, boys. It's the Unrestricted. Vex, the Bulldog RC, and Bob in studio after a Super Bowl Sunday. How you feeling? You over your hangovers yet?
You know what? This is the first Super Bowl where I did not partake since I was probably 14 years old.
Nice.
Sober Super Bowl.
Hey, man, I bet you got great analysis for us today.
Funny thing is, I kind of think I fell asleep in the third quarter. But I woke up.
So did the Eagles.
I woke up when it got good.
Yeah, it did get good. Look, all in all, what a great game, man.
It was amazing.
I mean, if you didn't have a rooting interest, and I don't think anybody in this room, other than you, because you were so anti-Eagle because they beat your team, nobody had a real rooting interest. We just wanted to see a great game, and that's what we got.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great game for football, like the watch parties in Amsterdam. They loved it.
They seemed to, didn't they?
They really did. In Cologne, Germany.
Yes. What was that all about?
Well, it's an international game now, friends.
Were those all military guys?
No, they were in random bars.
I couldn't tell. I would have loved an explanation of that on the
This
podcast.
just in, NFL, big business.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Global exposure.
Mm-hmm.
It was really a well-played game. I mean, I don't know about you, but I was just enjoying watching it. It was like feats of strength. It was the Eagles' offensive line, and then it was the Chiefs in their passing game, back and forth for 4 quarters. It was fantastic.
I mean, Hurts and Mahomes played lights out, both of them, leaving aside Hurts' one mistake. Statistically, he was awesome.
Absolutely. Outplayed Mahomes, really.
And it was fun to watch the Eagles execute on a game plan to keep Mahomes off the field in that first half. Did a great job doing it.
If you're looking at flashpoints of the game, and I feel like Jalen Hurts hasn't gotten enough shit for this, folks. He booted a football for no freaking reason and gave up 7 the other way.
Well, left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing.
Like that was the flashpoint of the game. And I don't know why for 2 days, I'm sure we've all been listening to the talking heads. I don't feel like Hurts is getting enough hell for that. It's a bad play.
Yeah, it was
false security. Nobody knocked it out of his hands.
If it's somebody like Aikman or Romo back in the day who aren't running quarterbacks, I could almost see a little bit. But Hurts is a running quarterback. He should know how to possess the ball.
Bro, if Mark Sanchez had made that same play, we'd still be laughing at him.
Well,
right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like the butt fumble, right? This was nobody touched me, and I fumbled it for 7 the other way. I do have to say this. There was a slight flashpoint right before that. So that was the Eagles' fourth offensive series of the game. Hurts on a 3rd and 8, flips his hips to his left, rolls out, hits, I believe, Goddard on this awesome throw. They get first down. They complete another pass. They get it to 2nd and 3. They hand it to Gainwell.
Here's something where was Miles Sanders?
It's circled on my list of things to talk about. What happened to Miles Sanders?
I don't even know who Gainwell is.
And somehow,
no disrespect to Gainwell,
but he was their lead back in that football game.
Why?
It's 2nd and 3, Richie, and they give it to Gainwell. That's not their guy.
Who weighs about 190.
And he needs 3 yards. He gets 2 because he chooses the wrong hole, and then slips because that football field was a flipping atrocity.
You think they'd get that right?
Well,
I don't know how they could get it wrong.
Right.
How did you get it wrong when the Chiefs called that field out after week 1?
Did they?
Yes, they did.
So the whole year they say it's like a sponge.
It looked awful.
Yeah.
And
then they painted it.
Everybody slipped. Even on the game-winning field goal, I was worried that Butker was going to slip, and you saw the way he put his left foot down into the ground was to make sure that he didn't slip. Like he almost gave with his left leg because he didn't want to slip on the paint. Hang on, let me finish this point real quick, and then I'll let you go. Gainwell should have picked up that first down on 2nd and 3. He slips, kind of doesn't choose the right hole, slips on the paint, falls down. Now it's 3rd and 1, and you get the false start on Isaac Siamalu, the offensive lineman. I have watched this over and over. I replayed the game. I recorded the game. Dude, this was another time in the game where the Chiefs were lined up off sides. And Siamalu definitely false starts. But Kansas City's in the neutral zone, and it is not called. So now it goes to 3rd and 6. Hurts drops back, boots it. It goes 7 the other way. That's the biggest difference in this football game. There's nothing else to look at.
There's a hold call that people might want to talk about.
Okay, that's another flashpoint. Okay, first of all, I guess that's a hold. I guess the rules say that's a hold.
When the D-back says it's a hold, it's a hold.
Facts.
But if this is not the Super Bowl, was that a hold by the lay of the land? Yes. You don't make that call at this moment.
I don't think so either. And I'm not one of those guys that thinks, hey, if you call it this way in the first quarter, you got to call it that way in the last few minutes. I don't agree with that. That's not the way things work on Hail Mary passes.
Because at the end of the day, if this guy's not touched, that ball is still 8 yards over his head.
It sure is, bud. Look, I hate that call. And this is why I hate it the most, okay? We're playing tackle football, professional tackle football. If you go to an NBA game in any arena tonight and you watch a guy try to get open down low and come off a screen, watch his defender grabbing his hip, yanking at his jersey. That's every single play in the NBA,
right,
where there's supposed to be less contact, right? If that is a foul in the NFL, man, I don't know what we're doing.
Well, I mean, a little bit of the unwritten story there is they ran essentially that same play and had receivers wide open in the second half. The two big plays on the left and the right, wide receiver and nobody around.
Yep.
So I almost think Bradbury as a D-back panicked a little bit and reached out to get himself turned around and all that. And it was that. He was like, knowing what was going to go on. If I miss this, he's wide open. And it's a little bit like you're driving on a road every day for a year and you're always doing 65 and a 55, and on one day the cop finally pulls you over and you tell the cop, I've been driving 65 and a 55. Why are you pulling me over now?
But earlier in the game, I think it was the Eagles' second possession. The Eagles had a wide receiver open in the middle of the field, looked like his hips got grabbed. That's not called. It was a more obvious call to me than what they called in the stretch run, which changes. It doesn't change necessarily the impact of the game because we don't know whether the Eagles, if they get the ball back it was going to be about 1:50 seconds and only one timeout. If they get it back, we don't know that they're going to go in and score, but they would at least have that chance. I feel so much post-Super Bowl the way I felt post-championship week with the Bengals and Chiefs. The game deserved overtime.
Yeah, and the one thing a referee official doesn't want to do is they don't want to be that guy or girl that decides the game. What I would have liked to have seen is, okay, throw the flag because it was a holding.
Yeah.
Now let's let the crew get together for a little bit and go, okay, on further reflection, let's just pull the flag up.
Yep, it was overthrown. It was going to be caught anyway. Those are the two big flashpoints of the game.
Well, something you said, halftime.
Yeah.
Halftime was a flashpoint because somebody adjusted, somebody didn't.
Yeah, Reed adjusted and Sirianni watched Rihanna.
You think that's how that played out?
It was either that or something else. But they played the same. It seemed to me they played the same game in the second half they played in the first half. And fine, you have the lead. You have a 10-point lead. But if you go back to Hall of Fame coaches over the years, they don't sit on a lead at halftime. They adjust. Whether they're winning, losing, or tied, they're adjusting.
I don't know. I feel like you're playing the results there.
Guys, I hate to pat ourselves on the back, but when we first started this, we said the two things that matter most for a professional football team are the quarterback and the coaches.
Yep.
And Andy Reid, been there, done that with
Nick
Green
Sirianni.
Bay, with Philadelphia, and then here in Kansas City. Sirianni is younger than we are. He's 41 years old. He'll get there. But the moment, I think, was too big for him. As soon as I saw him crying, it's Chris Stapleton and the national anthem, I knew that the moment was too big for him.
I got to say, I don't agree with you guys on this. I feel like you're playing the results a little bit. I mean, I just highly doubt you felt like the Eagles' game plan was crappy coming out of half when the Eagles in the third quarter go on an all-time epic Super Bowl drive, 7 minutes, 45 seconds, 17 plays and 60 yards, and score a field goal. Like, that seemed like exactly the way to beat Mahomes. You take up the whole third quarter, basically, with your offensive possession. You keep them off the field. That seemed like it worked pretty damn good in the first half. They were keeping it going in the third quarter. Where they lost it was in the fourth quarter, where, to me, the biggest difference was Kansas City's run game with Pacheco and...
Did you win your Pacheco bet?
Absolutely not.
Oh, geez.
They didn't throw him one ball. He was so good at running it, they never passed
they
it
didn't
to
need
him.
to.
I think the script,
Oh,
the NFL script is in, man.
let me tell you that I lost,
Vegas and Goodell sit down before every game.
Richard, I lost every single bet that I had on
You
the Super
probably
Bowl.
deserved
I did
it,
not
though.
win one bet.
That's
Not
awesome.
one. It was such a rape. It was so bad.
You're so upset. Did you just fart on air? I think you did.
Well, I mean,
right.
yeah, the Eagles played decent offensively. They didn't change things defensively. Here was,
Okay.
I mean, championship games and playoff games won in the trenches. The Chiefs O-line stood up.
Zero
Didn't
sacks
give a sack up.
to the team that the
Led
second
the
most sacks ever.
Chris Jones on the other side, by the way, was a non-factor.
I think
mean,
you've got
both
two.
defensive lines were
I mean,
really
Lane Johnson's the
non-factors.
best offensive lineman in the game.
That's true. Look, I thought the Eagles probably should have gotten a little bit more creative with their front four. They were not stunting. They were not running schemes up front. They were basically just blitzing upfield with four guys. I shouldn't say blitzing, but pushing upfield with their front four. Like, they did not get creative. I agree with that.
So, and here's the way I look at it: the feeling of a fan watching the game without a vested interest in the teams. It felt like at any moment the Eagles could open up and turn this into a blowout.
I felt the same way at the beginning.
And I didn't think the Chiefs had a chance until about 4 minutes left in that drive. It felt like a one-sided affair. And if you look at the stats, you look at the numbers, you look at Hurts's numbers versus Mahomes' numbers.
It's not even close.
It's not
It's
even
crazy.
close.
It's crazy.
So on paper and just watching the game as a fan, emotionally, you never thought the Chiefs were going to win. And then they kicked that field goal, and you're like, are you sure it's over? Did they really just win? And I think to say that it doesn't go back to coaching and experience, then what was it, luck? And then here's another thing.
It's coaching and experience. I agree with you.
And here's something that was kind of cool that I heard on the herd. So Belichick always finds out what color uniforms they're going to wear when they play. If they're wearing white uniforms, his players are wearing white gloves.
Yep. That way you don't see the hands holding the jersey.
It's the old green screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, Hurts was incredible. He goes for over 300. He scores 3 touchdowns.
How about no one on earth can stop them at 4th and 2?
No.
Oh
No
my
one
God.
on earth.
There-
It's an automatic move the F and chains. They don't even bring the chains out when he runs that play.
It's like 4th and anything under 3.
And he
It's
just,
just
motor
incredible.
grades.
They may have to change that
Yeah.
rule.
A few things are going to happen. Every team is going to copy it.
Yeah.
Every defensive coordinator is going to try to find a way to stop it, though I don't know how you can. You get lower than the offensive line, or they're going to change the rule and make it
You can't
illegal.
push from behind
They
anymore.
almost have to change the rule because that Eagles, the 680-pound squat of Jalen Hurts, which you've been pointing out for 2 weeks, it came in pretty damn handy, didn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, I'm a little surprised, by the way, with the success of their short game stuff that the Eagles had. Why did they not have a counter to it? Holy shit, would it have been scary if on 2nd and 3 in that second quarter on their 4th drive,
They flip
the
it
one
out?
where Hurts eventually fumbles, they roll up to the line, it's 2nd and 3, they're in that formation like they're going to rugby that thing all the way for 3 yards, and instead, quick flip out to whoever your fastest guy is and get him on the edge. They didn't seem to have any second act to that, but I'd be interested to see what it is.
Well, something just sparked. You're talking about flashpoints. How about the return?
Huge
that
flashpoint.
punt return.
That was huge.
Kadarius
Tony,
Toney.
who was a giant in the beginning of the year, they trade him for a bag of peanuts,
Yeah.
and huge play.
I give Tony credit for that. I also give a lot of shit to the punter who booted a line drive for about 40 yards in the air. Like,
with
those are the easiest
1.9 second hang time.
Those are the easiest ones to return
to flip
big.
the script.
And, the Philadelphia Eagles, that was, his first game, that punter's game
was
in
hurt.
weeks because he's been hurt. I don't know.
Special teams.
Looked
You bring
terrible.
that guy back in on the biggest game of your career, Sirianni.
I don't know.
Coaching.
Yep, coaching and experience. I believe when you asked me, Jeff, why I thought the Chiefs were going to win, I think I said exactly those two things.
Coaching and experience. And
That
it won,
and you
it
said
won the
that
day.
Jesus doesn't like the Eagles.
Speaking of Jesus,
Jesus.
he played a very large part in our Super Bowl.
Let's talk. Let's
Did
get
you
into
notice
it.
the commercials?
There were.
How could you not?
There's a Jesus campaign.
How much money does Jesus need
Apparently,
for his marketing?
$1 billion.
And $20 million just on Super Bowl Sunday for those 2 commercials.
Just the airtime.
Yeah.
Just the airtime.
That's not paying.
No, that's not paying for the commercial.
the actors and actresses.
I got to be honest. I actually sort of, you're probably going to think this is weird coming out of my mouth. I actually really enjoyed the message.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me at all.
Hugs, not hurts.
He gets
Ooh.
us.
Do I need to call the rabbi?
No, I don't. Save it for later. The message of it did not seem to bother me at all. I will say, though, it's a little weird to be spending $20 million on a Super Bowl commercial when you could probably be, feeding people,
Water wells.
home the house, the
House the
house
homeless.
the homeless, home the houseless, all of that. I don't know. Buy a few prosthetic limbs. There is a lot that $20 million can buy. I'm not sure that I got a whole hell of a lot out of those.
Yeah,
All
but
that-
what's the end game? Because when advertising, first rule of thumb is you're selling something.
Are numbers down?
Yes.
In
Are they?
Numbers are down in churches.
I think numbers are down across the board for religion. I don't think it's just Jesus having his problems.
I did see some Buddhist monks complaining the other day. they were,
I don't know. But honestly, the commercials to me were actually, I thought, really well produced, and I thought the message within them was quite great. Honestly,
yeah.
If it didn't end with the Jesus thing, I would have been like, yeah, hey, I'm all for this, right?
USA.
Like, I'll give some money, yeah.
USA.
And then it was like, oh no, that's not like Sarah McLachlan for the
For the
I
dogs.
love that one. It's a wolf. Sarah, it's a wolf.
oh Jesus.
You got it. Message received.
I pointed out to my wife in 0.1 seconds of halftime that Rihanna was pregnant. And she goes, no. She just had a baby. I said, no. That's not post-baby fat.
That's a new bump.
That's new bump. That's new bump right there. No, Jeff, you do this all the time. Somebody will have a baby 3 years ago, and you come up to him and poke him in the belly and say, what are you having? And it's like, no, they just haven't lost their baby fat, Jeff. I'm the worst.
You didn't learn that rule?
What's the rule?
Dude, if the baby isn't crowning, you don't mention it.
Just don't
Just
talk
keep
about
it to yourself.
Keep it to yourself.
Well, the internet sure as hell didn't do that with Rihanna because everybody was flipping out immediately about her bump.
You still don't do it. I don't care.
All right, I'm going to take the shine off of Rihanna. You ready?
I'm ready.
She spent 12 and a half minutes of doing not much dancing, absolutely no singing because those are recorded tracks.
Fair amount, yep. She did.
I know she's pregnant, but she's early in her pregnancy, quite obviously.
You wanted to see her move a little more.
I'm just saying it's not a heroic performance to do 12 minutes at halftime.
You
right?
wanted her to bungee off that platform.
Something, like jump from one platform to the next.
Like Frogger.
Yes. Yes. I'm just saying, let's not make her out to be Serena Williams.
Yeah.
She'd just win Wimbledon right after having a child. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a jerk about this.
As a technology nerd, I was more interested in how do they do those platforms and get them up and down
They were
and not
pretty cool.
swinging.
Tech
and
crew.
the camera moves through those.
The
were
tech crew
amazing.
was the big winner.
I just didn't. I wasn't moved by the halftime show.
It was very one-dimensional.
Yeah, it was like the usual thing that they do at every Olympics.
They'll bring somebody in. There might be some live instruments, so there could be some
And it's the
It was
dancing.
all choreographed. It was the marshmallows and
yeah, the marshmallow
Riri.
drones.
The chocolate
With no
factory.
face.
The chocolate factory had to lay off, and the Oompa Loompas had to go somewhere.
It's true.
One more problem, and here's the second problem, and this is going to be me really destroying Rihanna. So I watched most of the game by my lonesome in my study, taking notes, really focused on it.
It's a real student of the game.
Yeah. Halftime, I come out, Catherine and the kids are watching halftime, and Rihanna comes on to perform. My daughter, 4.5 years old, love you, Eloise, is doing Rihanna's dances, like trying to mimic her exact dances. And then Rihanna puts her fingers down to her cocoa and then up to her nose and mouth for a sniff and a lick. My wife and I were like, look away. Couldn't get to her fast enough, but she definitely saw it.
The old scratch and sniff?
Bro, I am not a prude. You know this. Anybody who knows me knows this. But can we cool it on the complete trash that we put out in national audiences when you know there's going to be kids watching?
She was just shining bright like a diamond, Joe.
Oh,
That was actually one of my only problems with the halftime show.
it is just
The 1-2 sniffer.
It was a little much.
It's just disgusting.
Yeah,
man.
but here's the deal.
That's filth. That's not sexuality. That's
10
filth.
10 years ago, it would have been like, that was cool.
Yeah. You mean like before I had kids?
Roger
Oh.
that, buddy. Because when you're watching the Super Bowl and you're in your teens and 20s,
Yeah.
you don't give a flying F and a rolling donut.
We made the biggest deal.
Then you have kids and you're like, oh, now I know why parents are so angry all the time.
We made the biggest deal out of the Janet,
Janet
Jackson
Jackson
thing,
yeah.
and her nipple was covered by a pasty. I was at that Super Bowl, by the way.
Did you
and-
apply the pasty?
I could see it. I was like, hey, her titty just fell out. Her titty just fell out. That was nothing. Nothing. That's not vulgar. That's not crass. What Rihanna did was, I'm sorry, it's just gross, man. That's not sexuality. That's filth.
Well, maybe, just maybe, because she also owns a lingerie business, she's got a product to where they're scratch and sniff underwear. It's so she was advertising without having to pay for the spot.
Oh, she was hawking all her.
Matter of
companies.
fact,
She was.
I mean, they paid her.
Yeah.
So who's the real genius?
Actually, no. Here's the interesting thing about halftime shows.
They don't get
You
paid.
They don't pay the artist.
They get paid union scale. That's it. They don't get
So they
paid a
can pay the-
performance fee.
the marshmallows.
However, the NFL pays for all the Oompa Loompas.
Okay.
Yeah, the staff. I don't know.
I'm
Marketing
sorry.
genius or vulgar? I don't know.
I can't believe that we're not more up in arms, that as a community, we're not just more up in arms about that, because we flipped the fuck out
With
at Janet Jackson's titty.
Yeah.
Okay. And that thing was covered by a pasty.
But that was how many years ago?
Oh, God.
A long time ago.
Yeah. It was
A lot
about
has
20
happened.
About 20 years ago.
And this
The
is
sun
the,
has rotated around and rise and shine a few more times. All right, real quick. I know it's about favorite halftime show you've ever seen.
I mean, Prince
Yeah.
goes to the top of the list.
Prince. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
I loved the old school hip hop of a couple of years ago with Dre and Snoop.
That was last year.
Was it last? Was
I
that
think so.
last
It
year?
was good.
Okay. It was
Yeah.
either last year or the year before.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
good.
you're right. It was last year. Yeah, it was incredible.
But Prince, when the hurricane comes in,
Yeah.
and he's like, "No, we're going.
Yeah.
We're going hot."
Purple
He
Rain
said-
in the Rain.
He said, "Can we make it rain harder?"
That's
That's
that's a Mahomesian performance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was. Okay, so let's roll this forward. Move away from the Super Bowl. Let's look at what's coming next. Jalen Hurts is going to get paid.
yeah, he is.
Yep.
But when does his contract come up?
It's this summer. He's got to get paid this summer.
Okay.
It's $40 million at least.
And then what do
That's
they get?
the starting point. I mean, it's going to be 17% of his team's overall cap.
Oh, and guess what? They also have 2 first-round picks this draft.
They sure do.
They look like they're in a pretty good spot.
Flip side of that.
Correction. Hold on a second. Jalen Hurts is entering the final year of his rookie contract. He's eligible for extension, but it's the final year coming up.
They'd be smart to
Okay,
do it
thank you.
now.
They
Thank you for
need
that.
to do it now.
Thank you for that. They are going to have to pay him. They have 10 starters who are free agents to be. That's a big problem, especially if you extend Jalen Hurts this summer. You run out of money real fast.
Well, if Jalen Hurts is smart, he does a Mahomesian thing or a Brady type of thing, goes for a long contract, allows the Eagles to structure things in a creative way to keep talent around him.
I don't know that Mahomes did that.
Yeah, he did.
Mahomes just set the record for being the highest percentage of his team's cap space as a Super Bowl winning quarterback. The highest. Nobody's ever been paid more.
Well,
but look what they did.
It worked.
Look what they played rookies all over the field in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And it worked.
Yep.
It's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, they were better without Tyreek Hill.
Isn't that crazy?
I heard a better explanation of that with Tyreek Hill on the field, it maybe was that Mahomes was more motivated
like he had to
throw it to him.
Sure.
He was my guy. And now he has to find other things. And he's finding everybody. There's, Billy the frickin' water boy, put some pads on him and throw him out, and Mahomes is going to throw it to him.
Yeah. So long as he's open, he's going to hit him. It's tough comparing the two quarterbacks, and there's a lot of GOAT debate that's going on, and I don't want to get into that.
It's too early.
It's way too early,
Yeah.
obviously. I mean, Mahomes is just at the beginning of his career. Who knows what his longevity is? I mean, catching Brady is like climbing Everest, so forget all that conversation. But isn't it amazing just to look at the two quarterbacks, Hurts and Mahomes, in that game, and probably just for the way their careers are going to go? Mahomes is the guy who can make the spectacular play. The play that seems to be impossible, he makes it happen. The way Favre used to, right? Jalen Hurts, to me, particularly in that Super Bowl, just made the easy look even easier, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he kept it so simple. And by the way, dropped a couple of real dimes on his own. Okay,
He did. His
particularly
arm
to
is
Goddard.
much better. He's a much better quarterback than I thought he was. That's what 2023 has proved.
Yeah.
Or 2022, 23. He's a way better player than I thought he was.
And this was the quarterback that Saban benched at halftime because
right.
he couldn't throw the ball downfield.
Yep.
He
Now,
can throw
it
the ball
didn't look
downfield
so
now.
good on the last play of the game but I think he slipped, honestly, on the turf. My thing is, in athletics, we have a really hard time appreciating the guys who make the difficult look easy, and such an easier time watching the Mahomeses and going, that was incredible.
Right.
It's like Tim Duncan versus Allen Iverson.
Mhm.
It's so much easier to watch Iverson and appreciate it because the things that he does look spectacular every single time.
Duncan goes off the glass, makes his shot, plays
Seems
sound
simple.
defense. They're like,
Mhm.
he's the best boring player I've ever seen.
And he's far greater in the pantheon of players than is Allen Iverson,
Yep.
right? Or Vince Carter, who was spectacular, or Dominique Wilkins, who was spectacular. Anyway, I think that's a Mahomes Hurts corollary that we can talk about for probably the next 5 years. And, there's some Joe Burrow mixed in there. He's a guy that makes the simple look even easier, makes the difficult look simple, and maybe even easier than that. I'm looking forward to it. So how do the Cowboys compete with Jalen Hurts going forward?
You hope that the Eagles have a Super Bowl hangover because there ain't no other way.
Because they're primed to reload.
They have 10 free agents who are starters. That's
They're
That's
gonna
important.
they're gonna have to make some decisions.
I also want to remind us that the team that really handed it to this Eagles this year, the team that hung 40 on that
Vaunted
number one defense,
was the Cowboys.
was the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
It's not like the Eagles are a far cry away from the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, so the Eagles win their Super Bowl, and then they fire everybody because they had a mediocre season. And then a year and a half later, they're back at it again, and
Yeah.
they're restocked. That's what the Cowboys don't have.
Leadership,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can't retool.
that's just it.
They can't think on the fly. They can't retool. They always have money issues.
Well, we
They're
fired all of our linebackers, assistant coaches.
Guess
That
what?
should help.
Those guys can't make plays on the field. So
I think it's going to be a bad season next year for the Cowboys. The NFC East had 3 teams in the playoffs.
Sure enough.
It looks to be even tougher next year. I expect the Giants to take it up to the next level.
Because they have a good coach.
The Commanders, as much as I like to make fun of the commies, have a decent defense.
They
and
almost made the playoffs.
bring in a quarterback and a little bit of offense. Now you got 4 teams that are really competing.
It's not going to be easy, but I'm just trying to tell you the Cowboys aren't that far behind that Eagles team. Not that far behind. Boys, I enjoyed it. Have a wonderful week.
Real quick,
Yeah,
I want to
give it to
give a shout out to the Alamo Heights girls cheerleading squad.
Tell me about that.
The varsity girls just won their 2nd national championship in Florida at Disney.
Wow.
So that's back to back. And the junior varsity girls won their first ever national champion.
That's your daughter,
No, Ava's varsity.
Ava's varsity. So she's been on both of them?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Nice.
That's incredible. Congratulations to
Congratulations.
you,
So-
your wife, and her.
There's some serious championship caliber ladies running around.
Speaking of Alamo Heights athletics, Alamo Heights basketball won their district. They start the playoffs Tuesday of next week against Southwest at Southwest.
And shout out to the girls soccer team, Alamo Heights. They're still undefeated.
Wow.
They have 2
Damn.
ties. Saw Sharpie today at
Nice.
the ticker tape parade.
Oh, I miss me some Sharpie on this show.
He misses us. He'll be back soon.
Good. For the next World Cup?
No, he'll be back before that. We'll see him in 3.5 years. No, he'll be back before that.
Y'all have a great week.
You
Thanks
too.
for joining us on The Unrestricted.
Bye.
How y'all feel out there? Do you feel good? I said, do you feel good? Come on. The groove feel good when it make you move. Make your next move your best move.